Welcome to the Positive Pants Podcast. Mindset, motivation, and inspiration to help you find your positive pants. Let go of negative thinking and stop living for the weekend. With your host, Fran Excel.
Welcome to the show. As always, it's Fran Excel, Mindset Coach, helping you find your very own pair of positive pants so you can get out of your own way and live a life that you love. Today's topic is a big one, and it is one that has come from a listener, and it's how to maintain motivation, which is something I get asked a lot, to be fair. It's definitely a big subject. While you're going after your goals, like even through the tough bits, like how do you maintain that motivation? Like when you start, you get that initial burst of motivation when you get all excited and fired up to achieve what you want. And then all of a sudden, when you start taking action, the goal can seem bigger and bigger and harder and harder. And then when all the little things seem to be piling up or going wrong, that initial motivation begins to wane. Basically, it becomes more difficult to keep that motivation going as the excitement lessens and the obstacles and pesky little mindset gremlins get in your way. Now, unfortunately, there isn't this magic pill that everybody seems to want, I'm afraid, but there are definitely a few things that will really help you on your way. So the first thing to know really is, are you actually excited about what you're doing? You ideally need to be excited about what you're doing and to remember why you're doing it, because of course those two are pretty big keys to staying in the motivation zone and out of the procrastination zone. So make sure you are regularly asking yourself and reminding yourself of those. Honestly, it's so important. Next is, are you really actually super clear on what you're actually working towards? So if you can clearly visualize, and I've done an episode on visualization before, which I'll link up. When you can clearly visualize what you're working towards, it will make it so much easier to work towards it. Remember, the brain doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined. So when you marinate all up in that vision, you will feel the same feelings that you'll get when you actually get there. And that's some serious motivation there. So to help you along a little bit, what will you feel like? What will your life be like? Where will you be? Who will you be? What will having this thing you're working towards bring into your life? Yeah, those questions will really help you. So next, do you believe you can actually achieve it? Pretty big one. You do need a little confidence that you're actually going to achieve it. And this is a big one. At the end of the day, if it's possible for anyone else, then it is possible for you. Okay, I really want you to hear that. We have the same 24 hours in the day and the same days in the week. Pretty much everything that someone else is doing can be learned, including confidence. And again, I've got you back there. Previous episode, I'll link it up. You have all the resources that you need. You really do. You were born with them, just like everybody else. You just need to know how to work with what you've got. Look around you for all the evidence that it is absolutely possible, because it is there, I promise you. And then when you really know that and you trust that, then the motivation comes. Ta-da! So the next thing to have a think about is what actually makes you feel motivated, because it's personal for everyone. Are you intrinsically or extrinsically motivated, or both? So intrinsic motivation is all about what drives you from within. If you're intrinsically motivated, you will be pulled forwards by a higher purpose, shall we say, a desire to fulfill your potential and have a sense of achievement. Yeah. Doing something purely because you love it. Yeah. And then extrinsic motivation is where you're driven by things outside of yourself. So recognition from others, maybe numbers or money, for example. And there really is absolutely no right or wrong here. There's no judgment. Don't judge yourself. Don't judge anyone else. It just helps to know what drives you, because it will help you stay motivated. You know, it could be one, it could be the other, or it could be a mix of both. If you're extrinsically motivated, it can be really helpful to reward yourself for the little achievements along the way. And this is also something I encourage for habit forming. Now, I am a little bit of both, for sure. And put it this way, Alex Monroe has done very well out of me and my little milestones over the years. And those little lovelies really motivate me to hit my goals and serve as a constant reminder of what I can achieve. So why the heck not, right? If you're intrinsically motivated, it's also really, really helpful to remind yourself of who and how you can help and really, really stay connected to what that means for your own sense of fulfillment and your own sense of purpose. Yeah. Next, I want to talk a little bit about pain versus pleasure. As humans, we tend to move away from pain and towards pleasure. And this is something Tony Robbins talks about a lot. So we move away from pain and towards pleasure. So you can see that when we get excited about something, it's really easy to stay motivated because we're going towards pleasure, right? However, as soon as there's an obstacle or a fork in the road, it becomes much more difficult. And our instincts can be to go right back towards our comfort zone and away from the pain and back to pleasure, because even if it wasn't that great in your comfort zone, it's comfortable. So that little bit of a tug back towards that pleasure is still there. But when you know what staying in your comfort zone costs you and how we learn and change, and again, more episodes on those, it becomes much easier to motivate yourself through the wobbly times because you know what's on the other side. So next, I want to know, what is your manifesto? If you don't have one, create one. What do you stand for? What will you and won't you tolerate? What are your values? Create it, make it pretty, put your favorite inspirational quotes in there, stick it up on your wall and look at it daily to connect you with your end goal, what you're creating for yourself, and use it to drive you forward. I was on the phone earlier to a lovely lady and she talked me through her manifesto, and she reminded herself that she hasn't been looking at it. She's got it there. And it's like, okay, are you living to that standard? Are you living in line with your manifesto? If the answer is no, then you know what you need to do. It's a really, really good way of pulling you back to what motivates you and what you're working towards, rather than getting stuck in the weeds and getting stuck in those moments where, you're just stuck, essentially. Yeah? So the next thing I want you to think about is, are you flexible and adaptable? Behavioral flexibility and resilience is something to keep in your back pocket at all times. Yeah, it's one of the keys to success and will mean that when you get stuck down one path, you will then just immediately start looking for another. So you won't have that same demotivated stuckness where you're not really sure where to turn. And obviously, this is a really great place where having a mentor can really, really help for all those wobbly times where motivation seems to have disappeared. So my question is, what can you do differently? If you're stuck in a loop that isn't serving you, what can you do differently? Because the thing is when you can stop fearing failure, and again, whole other episode on that, I don't believe there's such a thing, but when you can stop fearing it, a whole world will open up for you. If you can look at failure as part of the course and just a way to get feedback and experiment to find what does or doesn't work for you, then you'll be far more motivated to carry on. When you don't have that emotional attachment to failure, possibilities are endless, right? So the next thing I want you to think about is, what does your environment look like? What is your environment like? Are you surrounded by mess and disorganization? Your environment really, really, really has a huge effect on your motivation and your mindset in general. So Marie Kondo the heck out of your workspace pronto and make it somewhere you really want to be. A space that actually inspires you, makes you feel good. If it's a bit chilly, make sure you have a way for it to be warm. I've got my hot water bottle with me right now. I've got loads of lovely little crystals around because I like them. I am in a space where I'm confronted with all the things I want. I have a little vision board in front of me. I have my quotes that I love, all these things, because that's what I like. It doesn't have to be what you like. It's what I like. And it's what makes me feel good in my work environment. So have a think about it. Next, think about what is distracting you. Be really, really, really aware of when you may be slipping into procrastination mode and know your way out. And of course, I have a ton of ideas for you in a previous episode, so I will link them all up for you. Make sure you're eliminating all those things, all those so enticing things that distract you from your end goal, all those cat videos or dog videos in my life. Okay, Get rid of them. Get rid of them. Stop multitasking. All that stuff. Stop it. Doesn't help with your motivation. Then the next thing to think about is, what can you outsource? If you've been following me for a while, you'll know I am a big fan of outsourcing, especially if it's tasks that aren't within your zone of genius or you just don't enjoy doing them. Because guess what happens when that's the case? You will avoid those tasks and not get anywhere fast, other than frustrated with yourself. And also, having a little team around you who are bought into your ideas and motivated to help you achieve them and to help you succeed can be a really amazing way to stay on track too. So lastly, but not leastly, seriously, get yourself a mentor. You can see just how much easier this can be when you have a personal cheerleader and chief bum kicker in your corner, right? Whether that's me, somebody else, or your mum, it really doesn't matter. Just find someone who is going to keep you accountable, because you won't be 100% motivated 100% of the time. And that's totally okay. That is okay. It's just about getting you back on track, knowing the strategies to avoid losing your momentum, your motivation and your momentum in the first place, or to help you get it back when you've lost it. Then you're good to go. And on that note, my prices are going up considerably at the end of February for my one-on-one services and the Proactive Pants Mastermind. So if you've been thinking about working with me, even a little smidgen, if you feel that draw, that gut instinct, then book in a call, and I will link that up in the notes as well. I'm often asked if I work with men, and I know I have a lot of male listeners on the podcast too. So the answer is yes, I do for my one-on-one, but not for my group programs. So if you've been thinking about it, pondering on it, book in a call. Yeah, because the prices are going up at the end of February, and I would love, love, love to help you get all the things that you want in your life. So I hope that was really helpful, and I shall, as always, see you next week. Bye.